Technology.
We have the technology, but should we use it?
Yeah. So Thomas, tell me about what do you call him? Goran Goran. What did you call him?
Bjork Bjornsson.
Bjorn
Oh,
Bjornsson.
yes. What's his actual name?
Ludwig
Göransson.
Yes, I think he's written some great stuff. But watching the documentary on Disney Plus, when The Mandalorian first came out, I just thought it was really funny. It just seemed like they had kidnapped this street performer off the streets of Norway, and we're just like, you're writing this music for us, and they locked him in a room for 48 hours with 12 synthesizers, 6 didgeridoos, and a fish, and he was like, I'm going to slap this fish on the bass, and this is the Mandalorian. Do, 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 do. He just, if you look at him, he's got this wild look in his eyes all the time. And he's
just saying that impersonation is Werner Herzog. It's not.
That's fair. I have only listened to him once.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Cantina Talk. Catherine, take it away.
I'm taking it away? Oh, shoot.
Yeah, man, you're the host. You do it.
Oh, come on now. You can't do me like that. Don't do me like that.
Just say your name.
I'm Catherine or Cat, whatever your boat. It's fine.
I'm Maui, and we have with us Thomas.
Hi, friends.
What's up, buddy?
Oh, man.
We're a minute and a half into this, and it's already gone off the rails.
Chaos.
This is a bad sign.
So we've been on hiatus. We've been on hiatus for a while, so we wanted to catch up and kind of go over some of the things that have come out since we've been gone. Since you've been gone.
Thank you.
And we thought who better to catch up with than our buddy Thomas.
Yeah, I'm excited. There's lots of Star Wars. I have been very, 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 very slowly making my way through the High Republic books. I own a majority of them. And I'm just I'm a terrible reader. I would love to be one of those people who curls up with a cup of tea at the end of the day and reads a good book. But I'm not. But I also want to read this stuff because reading Light of the Jedi, which I know Kat's read, I really
listen to the audiobook, but yeah, same thing.
See, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. Audiobooks are valid. I just want the books on the shelf because they look cool, and then I figure I should read those and then not get them from the library because I already own it. But I thoroughly enjoy the book, and I enjoyed a lot of the new canon stuff. So that's been my Star Wars recently, besides Obi-Wan and
the key stuff.
Yeah, besides the big releases.
Yeah. Since I was just gonna say, since May, I'm on my 7th Star Wars audiobook.
You were saying that you've been listening to them going to and from rehearsal, right?
How do I not know this? I only knew you listened to Light of the Jedi.
Yeah, going to and from rehearsals and performances. I started with, was Light of the Jedi my first one? Yes, it was. And then it was the entire new Thrawn trilogy.
Solid.
Which was good. I thought each one got less good. The first one was the best one for me, but they were all good. And then I also in the middle with that, I listened to the Plagueis novel. Literally 2 days before I left for Ireland, my hold on the Plagueis novel came to fruition. That had been on hold for 2 months, 2.5 months.
And is it just the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise? Is that
it's how Plagueis became decoupled from his master. I won't say how. And then found Palpatine and trained Palpatine, and then how Palpatine took over. It's Plagueis is almost entire adult life.
Okay.
Yeah. And also holy crap, I'm starting to forget now. And I'm now also starting Catalyst, the Rogue One novel.
Yeah, I really like that one.
And then after that, before Tales of the Jedi starts, I'm going to do Dooku Jedi Lost. Because Tales of the Jedi is going to cover Count Dooku, and I figure I should catch up.
I've watched none of these. Or read none of these.
I've read all of them. I
feel like I'm missing one.
Thrawn. I know I read at least the first 2 Thrawn. I'm pretty sure I read the 3rd Thrawn, though. That's the problem with audiobooks is I will read them and I'm yes, I enjoyed it. But then you ask me 2 weeks later what the book was about. And I'm
I just enjoyed the vibes. I don't know.
enjoyed the vibe. I will say, if you ever want to break the new canon, I will always suggest for Star Wars audiobooks Shatterpoint, which is a Clone Wars novel about Mace Windu, and then Survivor's Quest, which is a Legends novel about Luke and Mara Jade discovering an old Republic like expeditionary mission. It's got a little bit of Thrawn. Ooh. It's got a little bit of like Anakin and Obi-Wan. Because so this book was written, like pre Clone Wars or prequels. And then when the prequels came out, Timothy Zahn went back and he wrote the prequel novel to this called Outbound Flight, which is like about the expeditionary mission and what happened to it.
Got it.
I don't think it's as good as Survivor's Quest. It's like Survivor's Quest is like my favorite Star Wars book.
Got it. Absolutely. Yeah, next on my holds is Master and Apprentice, but the hold list for that is super long. So
that's very
I'll probably need something after Dooku Jedi Lost.
Yeah, you go with some of the Legends ones. Yeah, go with some of the Legends ones, and the holds won't be as long.
That's true.
And they're all the same. They're all the same, like audio quality. You know what I mean? The narrators are great. The sound effects are great. The music.
Yeah. The production quality has been fantastic. So
yeah, they're fantastic.
Yeah. Except for the one gripe I have is in the Plagueis novel, the guy who was narrating could not pronounce Sifo-Dyas correctly. He kept saying Sifo-Dyas, and I wanted to die.
Nobody can pronounce it correctly. It was a typo.
I don't care. It's said in the films. It's not that hard.
That's very fair. You'll get that every now and then.
Yeah, I was just like, come on, man.
But actually, big for you. The first, at least 4, 5, and 6 of the Star Wars Shakespeare novels have full cast dramatization.
I have the CDs of those.
Oh
yeah. For my birthday once.
I was crying at Return of the Jedi.
Oh, they're great.
I was sobbing.
They're wonderful. Oh, it's great.
So let's get into it.
Yeah,
let's get into it while you two nerd out about the books. Let's Kat, what have we missed since we've been back? Obviously, we watched it all, but what are some of the things that we have not talked about in our hiatus?
So we stopped after Bad Batch season 2 aired, which was, I believe, in September. So basically a year ago.
Yeah.
Essentially a year ago. And so in the interim, we have gotten the Book of Boba Fett. We have gotten Mando season 2 had already happened. Yeah. So Book of Boba Fett, and then the Kenobi series, and now Andor has started, which we already went over the first 3 episodes of. We to put a timestamp on this, it is Monday, September 26th. So episode 4 of Andor comes out in 2 days. We have obviously not seen it yet. But we are looking forward to it. And then trailers, lots of trailers. Trailers for Mandalorian season 3, The Bad Batch season 2, and Tales of the Jedi.
Yes. Do we want to watch some of those trailers? I can get them pulled up.
Let's do it.
Which one do you want to do first?
I feel like the one we should do first should be Tales of the Jedi, because you called me immediately after you watch it, and you and I were freaking out.
Yes. So while I'm pulling it up, why don't y'all kind of talk about it a bit and why you're excited about it?
Okay, I'll start. I think the reason why I'm excited about it is 2 reasons. One, we know most of us are suckers for that good Clone Wars animation style, that good Dave Filoni, all that stuff. And also when Tales of the Jedi was first announced, I was one of those people that was like, look, I'm excited for more Star Wars animation, but like, is this something that we really need? Do we really have to go back to this well, and stuff like that? And then I saw this trailer and I was like, I'm sold. I need this immediately. This looks amazing. We're gonna get some young Qui-Gon. We're gonna get some Anakin training Ahsoka and being like kind of like harsh and not great about it. It just looks so juicy and so good. I'm so excited about it.
Well, what about you, Thomas? Are you excited about Tales of the Jedi?
Absolutely.
Jedi are like your jam.
Exactly. I was going to say, we've got some really nice counterpoint on here, because I feel the exact opposite way as I know that Catherine does. For me, it's like when I saw Mandalorian, Andor, Book of Boba Fett, like the Ahsoka announcement. and Bad Batch. All of those, I was like, ugh, do I need more things during the Empire? No, I do not. Please move out of this 20-year time span. Please. And now have I been like entertained? Absolutely. But as I've recently started saying, because I like had the thought, I come to Star Wars for the space wizards. If I wanted to watch other like geopolitical machination sci-fi, there's like 7 different Star Treks I could watch if I wanted to do that. But
so I see why you haven't started Andor yet.
I am here exactly. I am here for space wizards. You're not really telling me anything more I don't know. The Empire's bad, these people are good, and they're gonna fight for it. Like, it's great. I'll get to it. Which is why I hopped on Obi-Wan and I haven't hopped on Andor. But with Tales of the Jedi, I love Jedi, so I'm here for it. But I'm also against Cat. I don't really care about the Clone Wars style of animation. I've always thought it was janky. I've never been a fan of it.
I love me some Clone War animation.
No, I'll get if it were the 2D Clone Wars stuff. Absolutely, I ate that up.
Oh, Gindy's stuff was amazing. Yeah,
like I will eat if they gave me that for Tales of the Jedi. You could put whatever you wanted in front of me.
There's an episode of that's just Mace Windu kicking ass for like a solid 10 minutes, like a 10-minute like action sequence.
It's so good.
It's so amazing. All right, here we go. We're gonna do the Tales of the Jedi official trailer.
Are we allowed to talk in the middle? Is this like a full-on react? Okay, cool.
React.
Just we lay down the ground rules.
There is life, but you must face death.
Oh, it looks so good.
Honor it.
So there must be a flashback.
Do not
or flash forward.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting because I feel like it's gonna have to be super fluid in time.
Yeah. Well, it's standalone. Aren't they 3 standalone episodes?
The music is awesome.
Yeah.
The best.
Yeah, 6 original
6 shorts. They said. So I think we're gonna jump through different time periods.
Yeah.
One with Dooku and one with Ahsoka.
Young Qui-Gon, let's go. I love Qui-Gon. I'm a simp.
Truly have victory.
Qui-Gon's a great character.
He's one of my favorites.
Again.
I mentioned this to Maui when he called, but someone more astute than me on YouTube with Ahsoka being surrounded by clones. Like, oh, that's what she's faced with during Order 66.
Right.
His training prepared her for that moment. Let's go! I love Rex. A man.
Coming darkness. Let's hope all that training pays off.
Yaddle!
I was about to say Yaddle.
Yaddle fight scene! I didn't even know that was on.
And who might
he still has that curved blade, even as a blue.
Oh yeah, dude, Dooku is just such a he's such a like elegant fighter. Like that's always been his his character descriptions from the beginning concepts of episode 2 were like they just wanted like a master duelist fencer.
Yeah.
And
but also Yaddle's about to fight in this movie.
I was saying Maui is barely keeping it together
Yaddle
right now.
fight scene. Let's go. Her hair flowing majestically in the wind.
You know what I want to see? You know what I want to see in this in Tales of the Jedi is I want to see Jarl Poof's death.
Ooh. Okay, tell me more about that.
Well, because Jarl Poof had to die between 1 and 2 because because their character design was so similar to the Kaminoans that they thought people would get too confused. So if you notice, Jarl Poof is not in episode 2, and they just like wrote him. They just killed him off screen. I'm sure in some like Dark Horse comic book. But now that we've got the ability to just do whatever kind of side story we want to do, I say tell me how Jarl Poof was taken down.
Also, Jarl Poof is super old. Was he several hundred years old by the time episode 1 happened? Because he's in Light of the Jedi.
Yeah, Jarl Poof is he's one of those old Jedi. So I was like, give me that stuff.
Sure, why not?
Oh,
let's do it.
That trailer.
Oh, it's brilliant.
It's so
It's
good.
So good.
It's built really well.
And one of the great things about that trailer is that it gets you pumped up and it gives away almost nothing. I have no idea what's going to happen in this.
Yeah.
What are these 6 shorts about? I could not tell you.
That's all I need. Just give me like
Yeah.
tone poems of like give me like this is the vibe that
It's
we're
all
going
circular.
for,
It all
and
connects.
I'm happy. Interested to see what Ahsoka's half of the shorts are going to be.
Yeah. Because
You
again,
know.
she's at Padme's funeral, so that's like during / post Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
But also, being trained and stuff. So like, is all of it like a flashback? You start with her at the funeral and then everything's a flashback. Is that going to be its own thing? Like, is her third and final short going to be like Revenge of the Sith era? Like,
do you guys know something I don't? Is it going to be 3 shorts that center around Dooku and 3 shorts that center around?
Well, they said
Ahsoka?
that it's 2 stories across 6 shorts, so it could be a 3-3 split, or it could hop back and forth between both of them. But I get the sense that we're getting 3 shorts about Ahsoka and 3 shorts about Dooku, but that's speculation.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah,
I think that's a pretty educated guess, though, because I don't really know how they would be able to intersect otherwise.
Yeah, and I'm curious as to why they picked those 2 specifically and how those 2 stories, because like if they're both within this thing of the Tales of the Jedi banner, if they were completely disconnected from each other, that I think that'd be a bit strange. So I'm wondering what the connection is. Not necessarily a story connection, but perhaps he was faced with a choice and he went one way, and she was faced with a choice and she went another way.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, I think that's what it's going to be. I think it'd be much more about like what parallels do you draw between the 2, as opposed to like the storylines actually intersecting.
Right, like
because his story has to be his fall. His has to be his.
Oh yeah, for sure.
His fall.
He's like the cautionary tale, and we're seeing a counterpoint through her eyes.
Right.
Well, especially because they're both part of this order that their mission is to do good. But how did one end up in one area and the other one end up so far?
Right, and they both end up leaving the order.
Right. Oh, that's true too.
Right,
that's a good
they both
point.
end up leaving the order.
Yeah. So again,
fall to the dark side until after he leaves the order.
Right.
Or in theory.
No, yeah, that's correct.
When he comes back in 2, they're like,
according to the Plagueis novel, that is how it went down.
Well, Plagueis novel's iffy in terms of
I know.
Canonicity. There it is.
Canonicity.
Do we want to go to the next trailer?
Sure. Yeah,
let's do it.
Which would be Bad Batch season 2.
Sure.
All right, let's do it. So this next one is Bad Batch season 2. Let's check this one out.
I lost my shit. I'm so excited.
Buy your freedom. You can have a future. Isn't that what you're after?
She looks older. She looks like a teenager. My little girl.
Clearly, you're not paying attention to what's happening out there.
Like a preteen.
But I wonder how much time has passed.
For a new era.
Yeah.
In theory, she ages at a normal rate.
Right.
There are others out there who need our help.
Crosshair!
We'll take all the allies we can get.
Let's go.
So some people have speculated that the fact that they're wearing orange armor instead of red, like before, is that maybe they join Commander Cody.
Yeah, the house music is a fun choice.
I like it. I like it.
When I was creating the music for the Bad Batch trailer, I did peyote and stayed in the bathroom for 2 weeks. And
oh my god.
Yeah, no, that looks fun. I like the kind of the house music in that. There's a similar type of. I mean, it's not similar, and it's not like a house type of thing, but another kind of anachronistic to what we're used to in Star Wars. And Andor at the end of episode 2, I think that I really dig a music sting.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. Yeah. Also, it's what's funny about that is the trailer presents itself as like, I mean, it's Star Wars. Everything's supposed to be presented like, yeah, it's badass, there's violence, and And so I get where they're coming from, but also like Bad Batch is also simultaneously one of the most wholesome things to come out of Star Wars in a long time.
Yes.
Like, you know, it's clones and violence, but it's also like 5 or 4 dads taking care of this little girl and like them figuring out their place in the world.
Yeah, they
like,
did 3 Men and a Baby, but it's like
4 clones,
4
and
clones and a
preteen. Other clone.
Yeah.
4 clones and a 5th one.
Right.
So, Thomas, I know you're not
4.5 clones.
Bad Batch. Are you excited about?
Well, they gave me Genji. They gave me Genji back, so I was like, yeah, let's go. You know, they gave me something to hook me other than, like, I do really like the character of Omega, and I'm really interested in what her whole story is, because I'm in the Omega is Force sensitive camp. But I'm also somebody who's not like everybody. Like, there doesn't always need to be a Jedi in everything. But I'm just saying, like, I love Jedis, and so if there is a Jedi, I'm not going to be mad about it.
Sure.
Yeah.
But because we're dealing with the clones and like the Jedi and people manipulating, you know, genomes, and we know that in another 30, 40 years, Palpatine is trying to clone himself, and this is probably the beginnings of that idea for him with this cloning technology. The fact that they, like, one, Omega's a female out of all male clones is already interesting, and then there's definitely, I thought there was definite stuff that they were like, they're leaning toward it being Force sensitive without, you know, really putting a hat on it. So I'm interested in that. I guess, like, you know, they left Crosshair on Camino, and so I'm like, ooh, how's that going to come back? Like, they left some interesting nuggets for season 2 to happen. But, and then I was thinking about it, because they were like, you know, there's people out there that we have to help, and it's like, okay, we still have, you know, 20 years before the Rebel Alliance is like a full governmental body. So it's like, what are all these different rebel cells doing? But also, how do we choose to tell these stories without pulling in characters we know? Because as soon as you start doing that, then it's like, well, why aren't they just like with
why aren't
rebels?
they together?
You know what I mean?
Well, it's already been kind of implied that Rex is part of one of those cells, so they've already kind of dipped into that well a little bit.
Right, exactly. And like, Rex is, you know, if it's another clone, it's like close enough that they would have, you know, that.
I've heard,
that, like,
yeah, one of the fan theories that I've heard, and this has not been, you know, verified by any means, is that it's going to cover the Clone Rebellion.
Oh, like within, like, why the Empire, or like what caused the Empire to like fully get rid of all the clones?
Well, yeah, but also it's already been kind of hinted at with Hauser, Captain Hauser, who was the one who was like, you know, who stopped the clones from turning in the Harris family.
What if?
Oh, sure.
If Omega's Force sensitive, what if she doesn't have like an actual name yet, and so like she's trying to figure out a name, and then, you know, eventually she gets separated from the batch, and she's off on her own as a grown up. And she dyes her hair red, and then she picks the name Mara Jade.
Oh my god!
I finally get my canon Mara Jade.
Goodbye.
Mara Jade.
Because I was really sad that we didn't get Mara Jade when Luke. I was hoping Luke was like retired, just like chilling with Mara.
Yeah.
Stop trying to make fetch happen.
You know?
Stop trying to make Jade Saber happen.
Whatever.
I feel like that would be very divisive.
I don't care.
There's a lot of
I know you don't care.
There are lots of things that are divisive.
Everything's divisive with
with Star Wars.
So.
Divisive or divisive?
Divisive.
I've always heard divisive.
Oh shit! Sorry.
Yeah, you say divisive. I say divisive. Let's call the whole thing off.
Yeah. It's yeah, I think, I just gonna give me more Star Wars. I'm not really gonna be like, ugh, don't give me more Star Wars.
Yeah, this is stupid.
Yeah, like even like when like I'm like not enjoying it that much, I'm still enjoying it. Like I'm going to watch everything you put out because I'm invested in this.
I'm gonna do it
for sure.
I'm gonna do it. I'll fill it out. Would I like more things in the High Republic? Yes. Visual, like in a movie, TV show medium. Would I like more things between Jedi and Force Awakens or post Rise of Skywalker? Absolutely. I think we are absolutely mining to death the Rebellion era.
Yep.
But that's because that's where the fandom started. It's like where most people are gonna cross over. You're gonna get a little bit of your prequel people and your original trilogy guys, in there, and I get it, but oof.
Well, not only that, then you're kind of
eroding on me.
But then not only that, you're also gonna then start to more legitimize the sequel trilogy, which a lot of people are not on board with.
I don't care about
with what. What do you
mean? If you try to go like,
you get pissed off. Like,
that's the thing that Disney cares, though. It's a profit thing.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do. Well, they care about their profits. They care about alienating fans, and they're trying to not do that.
The thing that the fans have seemed to be like most down on in terms of box office was Solo.
Yeah.
Right.
Rise of Skywalker was still successful.
Because it came out on
$1 billion. They don't care.
Hold up. Because Solo came out on the heels of Last Jedi, which was very controversial.
I truly don't think
Last Jedi for people not showing up to Solo.
No,
yes,
I blame when they released it. Like they released it out of their normal. They released it on Memorial Day, right? And the movie is not great. Like,
I disagree. I love Solo.
It's two different directors.
I love it, but like I might like it as broad of appeal.
There are tons of movies that I love that are bad films. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Like, it's not a good movie, but I enjoy it. Those are two separate things. The movie has 3 directors. The movie has 3 directors. You're already asking for things to be not cohesive.
Yeah. In Rogue One had a million different directions. Look how well that turned out.
Directions or directors? What are you talking about?
Wasn't the behind the scenes of Rogue One like really messed up? And then Ron Howard or whoever had to take over.
Not as bad as, not nearly as bad as Solo.
No, that's Solo.
Was pretty famously,
they both had
Lord
really
and Miller were working on it. They get kicked off. They bring in Ron Howard.
Yeah, that's Solo. That didn't happen. I don't think that happened on Rogue One.
All I know is that Rogue One went through extensive reshoots.
That's
directions.
Every movie goes through reshoots.
Yeah, reshoots.
Not like this. There are whole things in the trailer that never appeared in the film because they went in a completely different direction. Yeah. No, they went. Look it up. It all went in a completely direction. I'm not making this up.
I'm not saying you're not making it up. I'm just saying that it doesn't have anything to do with the movie having been good or not, because it happens all the time. They did it with,
Right, but your point was extensive rewrites, extensive
not extensive rewrites. The fact that we had 3 different visions for the same script.
Right. That's
happening
what happened to Rogue One.
No, that's not what happened to Rogue One. Okay. They had one director who then, after they cut the film together, they went, oh, what we had on paper isn't working as well as we thought, or according to test audiences, so we have to go and change things. But in this, like, Lord and Miller had a particular tone and wrote things with a particular tone and then didn't even finish the script before they were kicked out. And now Ron Howard comes in with his own tone, and they tried to mash the two together like some sort of Frankenstein.
Right. Which sometimes can lead to a good movie and sometimes lead to not. But it like same thing happened with something else that you love, Kat, the Hobbit trilogy. Right, and we've gone back and forth on that a lot. And you can enjoy it, cool, but also like the special effects are terrible compared to what they usually do. Like the cinematography.
Again, do not get me started. We're gonna get on a whole other path, and we don't want to go there.
No, what I'm saying, like, that doesn't change the fact that you like the movie or not. But like, these are things that I think there are elements of a film that you can look at objectively as like, oh, this thing was not executed well. I might still enjoy it, but I can also see the seams. Like, I might enjoy it, but I can still see the seams. I can still tell that this was not done as quality as I'm used to. And I think that people recognize that in Solo, which is why I don't think it was as accepted as a lot of the other films. So that's my opinion on that. But to each their own. We are next going to watch the Mandalorian Season 3 trailer.
Yes.
I think the thing that reunited the fandom is Mando. Make sure this isn't muted. It is not muted. All right.
I think you're good.
Here we go.
This is the one that you saved?
So now I'm giggling because I'm thinking about Bjorn.
I found some PVC pipe in an alley. Blew through it and found this sound to be most pleasing.
Of 2. You have removed your helmet. Then you are a Mandalorian. No more.
I never thought we'd be getting a lesson on religious fundamentalism in Star Wars. Like, really are.
There's so much religious fundamentalism in this show. It's
oh
great.
my god, it's crazy.
Totally.
All over Star Wars. It's all about space religion. Are you kidding me? Cloak your religion and ancient weapons.
Fractured our people.
Mando.
Where were you then?
Oh god.
Did you think your dad was the only Mandalorian?
Let's go.
All right, kid. Hang on.
Is Mando buying R5?
You ready?
Okay, it's an R5 unit, but I do not think it is R5.
It is.
Yes,
It's the same one.
By what evidence?
Go on Star Wars Explained. I believe when the first time you see that R5 unit, they point out like a mark on it that matches up with the mark from the like. From,
Was it in? Oh wait, no, isn't he in the shop? Now that I think about it, in season 2 with
Kelly?
Yeah, he's like in. Okay, yeah,
we've seen him before.
Okay,
there's
yes,
a
then
mark
yes, he
that
does buy
matches
R5
up with the original appearance of R5.
Look,
Like,
I just want
they do their visual work all the time on.
Yeah, I just want if Mando's gonna keep picking up strays, I want him to just have all the robots. It's Mando and Grogu and BD1 and R5 and now Lola is like just following him.
Listen, if R5 is the most egregious cameo of an established character that we get, we're doing pretty well.
I think it's great. Well, see, here's the thing with Mandalorian. I think they're doing the thing that I want more from Marvel and Star Wars and DC and like all the things is start crossing your mediums.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go to Mandalore. We're gonna see the burnt out like shell of Mandalore that we're all familiar with from the Clone Wars. It's like one of the greatest arcs in the Clone Wars, and it's like, and we're bringing that into real life and doing it in an interesting way. Let's go. Bring it. It legitimizes Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Which is cool that we've done it with like characters are one thing, but I think to like wholly bring in environments and story elements is something different. Like the Darksaber was like, ooh, Bo-Katan was like, okay, we're getting there. And then it's like, boom, we're going to go to Mandalore. Like,
you say it legitimizes Clone Wars, but I think bringing that stuff in actually legitimizes The Mandalorian. I think that the animated prequel era stuff is what legitimized the prequel era for a lot of people. I know for you youngins, y'all love you some prequel era just to begin with, but for a lot of us old heads, we were like, what is this bullshit? Who is this Jar Jar son of a bitch? Why is he has this stereotypical Jamaican accent thing? People were so angry, and I feel like Filoni saw all the lore potential in it and then created Clone Wars, which made it cool. And he's just like, now I'm going to show all you old motherfuckers who crap on the prequel trilogy what is so great about this lore, and we're going to mix it with like the stuff that you love from the OG era too, and like everything's all mashed up and mixed up, and it really feels like you're playing with like your toys of like mixing and matching, and just everything goes, and it's so freaking awesome. I love The Mandalorian so much. It balances the space wizards that you talk about that you love, that I also love, but also balances like the more gritty side of Star Wars that I also love. It balances like all the identities of Star Wars and synthesizes it into this unique thing. I fucking love The Mandalorian so much.
Yeah, it kind of dovetails what we were talking about last time, Maui. How the whole idea of Star Wars is for everyone. Like, and it brings, like you said, it brings together that stew of all the things that make Star Wars great. And if there's one part of it that doesn't appeal to you as much, there'll probably another corner of it that draws you in.
That's very fair. What I think for me, the thing that about the legitimizing is that I still think that the massive majority of people who enjoy media in general like will tend to view animation as a lower level, like a lower form. I disagree with that. It's a style that you can tell so many stories with. But I think that if someone goes like, oh, it's animated, I think we're still in this mindset that like it's immediately for children, you know. Especially American animation. I think if you start talking about like Japanese anime, that's a totally different thing for people. They're like more willing to accept like adult story content.
Right. It's thought of as a medium, not as like a thing for children.
Right. Well, but also, so that's what I mean when I say like it legitimizes it, because it brings it into the real world with real people and real actors and, you know, like visually contactable information.
Well, also you can kind of see that, you know, Clone Wars itself went through that phase. I'm not saying that its creators like viewed animation as a lower, you know, form of media, but you know, you could see throughout the earlier seasons that it went through this transition of like, who are we making this for? Is it for kids, or, you know, are we doing a Star Wars show?
I mean, I still think I think fundamentally Star Wars is always for kids. Star Wars is always for children. Like, it's always for kids.
Very interested to see what you think about Andor.
It's a morality thing. If they're going to start changing it, I've seen some things online, and I won't talk about it to not continue to spoil it myself. But like, it's if Disney is making that choice, then I'm interested in that. But it started off like as a good versus evil, like clear black line between the two thing, like hero's journey that sold amazing toys. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Lucas was not a fool. That's why he maintained those merchandising rights.
Yeah.
Like, and that's not to say you can't tell adult stories in the world, but it's not what it was built for. That's why we haven't yet. I haven't watched Andor. I haven't watched Andor yet, but like, we haven't dropped F-bombs. That's a big leap, but like, we haven't done it yet. And I just think when people are like, oh, who's this for? I go, sure. Making Clone Wars season 7 was like, we're going to tie back to things that were enjoyed by now older people, but like, it was still made through the lens of a children's TV show.
Kat?
I think it probably started out that way, but don't forget, Star Wars came out 45 years ago, and a lot can happen in 45 years.
Well, yeah, and the audience gets older, but then a new audience comes in, and so that's kind of the cool thing, I think, is that now you can have, here's your Star Wars for grown-ups, here's your Star Wars for really little kids, here's your Star Wars for everybody.
Right, and you can have things that are enjoyed by audience. Yeah, I agree with you. That it has to appeal to kids. That's why we haven't dropped F-bombs or made it super sexual or anything like that. But I do maintain that Star Wars is for everybody. It's something that whether you're 7 or 77, you can all sit down together and enjoy.
Yes, but I think there's certain things that are more suited to that, and there's certain things that are going to be where parents are going to more kind of like turn their brains off. Yeah, they can have it on in front of them, whatever, but they're not going to get as much from it where the kids are. Like, there's 2 things I didn't include in this tier list, because I hadn't seen them at all, and maybe if you've seen them, you know, then I can, you know, we can put them in there another time. But Resistance, and then what was the droids? Like, I didn't watch.
I haven't seen those either.
Right, because
like the original animated droid.
No, they did like a newer droids one.
Oh yeah, I thought that was like a Lego thing. I didn't realize it was a canon.
There was like, there's Star Wars Resistance and there's Star Wars Droids, I think, are the 2 Disney Plus like Star Wars for like kids.
I've seen the Lego droid one, which is actually really cleverly written. I
love all the Lego Star Wars stuff. Great. I think that it's really funny and irreverent, and it at the same time honors the canon of Star Wars, but also takes the piss out of it. So
yeah, it's great.
I like
Anyway,
it.
speaking of the tier list, we should probably get to the tier list.
Yeah. So last thing we're gonna do today is we're gonna rank Star Wars. Like I have a list here of 19 properties, and I have a tier list, and Kat has a tier list, and Thomas is gonna poop on both of them. And,
Probably.
No, he's just gonna make his own comment.
Let me add that to the stream. Here's our tier list. There's Maui's Star Wars tier list and Kat's Star Wars tier list. Here we go. All right. Obi-Wan Kenobi is the first one on here, so that's what I'll go with. I liked Obi-Wan Kenobi. I didn't love it. I thought it had a very strong opening chapter and a very strong closing chapter, but I thought there were a lot of issues in between. We had to save Leia like 18 times, and I was like, okay. So like for me, Obi-Wan, it was very middle of the road and was saved by some very compelling stuff with him and Anakin that I wish that they focused on more. But all of that stuff I freaking loved, and that rematch like I would sit through 50 episodes of him saving Leia if it meant I got to watch that rematch, because that was dope. So I'm going to I'm gonna put it right in the middle. I'm gonna give it a B.
I shook my head for a minute when you said it had a really solid opening, really solid closing, not because I disagree, but because you are saying exactly what I was pondering saying when I was thinking about this at work today.
Pondering what I'm pondering, Pinky.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you literally took like almost exactly the words out of my mouth. I was going to put in B tier as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna get mad at me. I was like waiting for
No. I'm saying because like you and I are such on the same level right now that I have nothing else to add.
Continue, but we shall see.
It won't.
All right, Mando. First, Thomas, give us your quick thoughts about Kenobi.
Well, you gave me Space Wizards again. You gave me Qui-Gon Force Ghost, which is like absolutely. We've been waiting for Qui-Gon's Force Ghost since 2002. Mm-hmm. So I was all about it. Like you said, that rematch. I think Carrie Fisher smiling down upon baby Leia.
Yes.
I think that casting was
was amazing.
Impeccable.
Yeah. Even though I got annoyed with her getting saved over and over again, that actress.
For me, that's like a kid. Like, it's a child. I mean, I don't have any children, but I've definitely had to, pull my cousin out of a tree several times in the same birthday party. So like, I kind of get it. It didn't really bother me. But again, because I think sometimes we get bogged down on like Star Wars' story beats when you realize like it's still just like the whole thing is based on the most basic hero's journey, and I think we got to give it a little more slack. If I had a ranking, I'd be putting it. I think I'd definitely be putting it in A tier, and the only reason it's not in S tier is because it's not a movie, and it should be. Like, it should be a film.
I did see a cutting of it where they cut the fat and cut the whole series down to 2.5 hours, and it's perfect. And I would put that in 8.
I mean, like, look, I sat through Endgame and I sat through Lord of the Rings. Your movies can be 3.5 hours long.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So, like,
but this particular cutting cut the whole thing.
I would have preferred it as a movie, I think, for sure. Which is, I think, was originally what they were going to do with it.
Exactly.
And you can tell. Yeah. You can tell they're padding it a little bit.
All right, Kat. Mando.
Sorry, every time I hear Mando, I think of the Amanda Show, and
it's on purpose.
Anyway.
Yeah, that's what they were thinking when they made it.
That's what they
clearly. Mando is A tier. I put in A tier, and the only reason why I'm not putting in S tier is that the episodes I feel are the phrase I was going to say was varying quality, which makes some of them sound bad. There's no bad Mandalorians so far. I've enjoyed every one of the episodes very much, but there are some that have had more of an impact than others. There are some storylines that didn't necessarily get fleshed out as much as maybe I would have liked. But overall, visually stunning. We love the new characters, love the soundtrack, love everything about it. A tier.
Mando is like exactly what I want from Star Wars. I think one of the things that turns people off from it is kind of the sparse storytelling. It's a very quiet show, and not a lot happens in an episode. It's very lone wolf and cub, but like it feels so timeless because of like the way that they do it.
Yeah.
It's like it was made just for me. This is an S tier for me. I freaking love The Mandalorian. It reunited the fandom. It was so nice to be able to watch it and not go online and see half of the fandom screaming at the other half. Everyone's like, "Wait, you like it too?" But I like it. That
shaking hands.
should we hug? Did we just become best friends just now? You know, that makes me so happy. So S tier for me. Thomas, what are your thoughts on The Mandalorian?
Mandalorian is a B tier for me. It's because it's a B tier for me because it's not my Star Wars. I think the idea I find so interesting because everyone's like, oh, you know, there's all these different factions in Star Wars. There's bounty hunters, there's the rebels, there's the Empire. It's like, yeah, but until Mandalorian, none of it was on screen. Like it was all this expanded universe stuff that you got to create in your own head, right? People thought that Boba Fett was Luke's mom, like when he first appeared on screen. Like that was one of the big fan theories in the 80s because they were like, ooh, Darth Vader, big dark scary suit person, this shorter suit person must logically be Luke's mother. So I think the idea of like the bounty hunters or this dark underworld is a thing that like got created by the fans, and therefore the fans like the you know, they love it. And so for them to get to see it, like Maui, who's like, this is the Star Wars that I love, I go, great, it's not mine. So I'm much more interested in like Grogu and like what is his story, and we haven't gotten a lot of that, and maybe we're gonna get some more of that in season 3. It doesn't seem like it, but I'm like I've said, I'm always around for more Star Wars. But the effects in this, the physical effects, the way they shoot it, it looks amazing. It looks up there, and that's what's saving it from not being any lower. But I watch Mandalorian because everybody else thoroughly enjoys it, and I want to talk about Star Wars with you. But if Luke Skywalker hadn't shown up in the end of the first season, I probably wouldn't have watched the second season.
Okay.
Oh my.
Okay. Next up, we have the Book of Boba Fett. I'm pretty low. I'm pretty low on Book of Boba Fett. Okay, one of the biggest no-nos for me when I'm watching a show is when your main character is not your main character. And for 2 episodes of the Book of Boba Fett, it became Mandalorian season 2.5. And while I absolutely adore those episodes, Boba Fett had no dialogue in either of them. He's in one scene where he nods his head just for someone else to talk. And that was a lot of real estate of a television show that could have gone to developing some very interesting things that they had going that I was excited to learn more about in it that didn't have time to develop because of this. I felt that the tone was all over the place. For some reason, they had like the neutrinos from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on like multicolored bikes. It was like a mix between the neutrinos and the Power Rangers. This is pretty bad for me. I think I'm actually going to put it a D tier, even though there are things I like in it. Yeah, I think it's going down to D tier for me.
Okay.
Kat?
I think I'm gonna put very few things in D tier. But for me, Book of Boba Fett is C tier. I think Book of Boba Fett actually had a really strong start. I love how little dialogue there was. It was slower paced. It wasn't a ton of action. It was really more of a character study, and a deeper dive into the Tusken peoples as well. And I thought that was really interesting. I thought
that was amazing.
This is a cooler direction.
Excuse me, they're called native Tatooiners. Thank you very much.
Okay, sorry.
Native Tatooiners.
Tusken is the name of the fort that they attacked when it when the settlers encroached on their land, so that's very offensive.
See,
Sand people is also
Tatooiners has the
offensive.
word wiener in it, and I'm not going to say that.
Tatooiner. That's also what I was thinking about. I was trying to like be serious, but my brain's like, he said wiener.
Anyway, going back to my original point, I thought it had a really strong start. Even the third episode, when it kind of got away from the native culture and that storyline, once that ended, and then when you got the credits can buy muscle if you know where to look, and then you hear the Mandalorian theme, I lost my damn mind. I just did not know what to do with myself. And then you had those 2 episodes that are just Mandalorian season 2.5, which I really liked. They're really good. It just didn't mesh with the main storyline very much. And so like that, yeah, almost at all. And then it also by extension kind of cheapened the season finale of Mando season 2. With Luke coming in, and it's like Luke comes in, he snatches up Baby Yoda. It's sad. They're separating, and then they're back together like 3-4 episodes later. It's like, so yeah. The only reason I'm not putting in D tier is that I think it had good parts in it, and even in the later episodes, there are things that I like. I liked what it set up in the beginning, but man, it just did not deliver down the stretch.
Agreed. Thomas, any thoughts on Book of Boba Fett?
Yeah, Book of Boba Fett for me, I was more interested in it than Mandalorian because it was an established character, right? Everybody's like, whatever happened to Boba Fett? And I've always loved that he survived in the Sarlacc pit. And I having read the Aftermath books, like I picked up that first book as soon as it dropped when I was living in Orlando, got to buy it at the launch bay in Hollywood Studios. And cool. Cobb Vanth is introduced in that storyline, and he's got the armor, and so I was like, oh my god, they're planning this season. So that was really cool to see a character jump into real life in The Mandalorian, and then he came back in Boba Fett. And that's really what actually I was most interested in Boba Fett. It was like Captain America Civil War. It was like all like characters from other things coming together. We had Cobb Vanth show up, The Mandalorian came back in, Fennec Shand, Black Chrysanthemum from the comic books, who's a big everybody's a big fan of this newer Wookiee in the comic books. I was kind of hoping that Dr. Aphra was going to make an appearance in Book of Boba Fett. It would have made sense, but like the Pikes being this force that that appeared in Rebels or Clone Wars, I can't remember which one, but like them bringing in, that's what did it for me. But I also agree with all of your other criticisms of it as well. Mandalorian 2.5 was very odd. I would have just loved it. They just like dropped those episodes as just like random. They're just like, tell nobody, boom, here's a new episode of The Mandalorian. So for me, the effects and the characters and the continuation of a storyline of a character that from the films is going to put it in B tier for me. It's going to save it. It's going to save it from C tier.
All right. Next up we have Star Wars Visions. Cat.
I'm making this face because this is going to be controversial. I'm putting Visions in D tier. I did not enjoy it. That's my first D tier. I did not enjoy it. That doesn't mean that I didn't think it had no merit. I think it had some merit. It was cool to see Star Wars as envisioned through the eyes of another culture. But ultimately, I thought they were kind of boring. I just didn't like it though. I didn't even finish it, if I'm honest with you.
Would it have been better if there was a magical girl episode?
You know what? Maybe. No. I think it would have been better had it been like a narrative. And you see like one character or one faction or whatever told through the lens of Japanese culture. I think that could have been very cool. And again, I appreciate there are different art styles and things like that and different tones, but ultimately it ended up being so disjointed, and I just did not end up caring about anybody or anything, and I did not finish it.
I would agree with that. I think if we were talking about individual episodes, there are certain ones that would rank up higher than others, but yeah, there's no connective tissue between them. it's an interesting experiment, but it's pretty low on my list as well. I'm also putting it at D tier.
Okay, good. I thought you were gonna tear me a new one.
No. I don't get me wrong. Like everything on this list, I will watch and watch again.
Sure.
There's one thing on this list that I will probably never ever watch again, and I'm sure both of you can figure out which one that is. I'll say it when I get to it. But I would I would watch all of these again, even the ones on D tier. But yeah, that's kind of a D tier for me. Thomas, what about you?
I'm gonna put it at C tier. I think it has a lot more merit than you give it. I think not everything has to be a big connective story between every single episode. I thought that each episode told really interesting stories. I mean, I know to the point where I know that at least the Ronin episode garnered such praise from the fans that it's getting an extension, I think, either in a comic book or in its own series. There's
the Ronin one is the highlight.
I thoroughly enjoy the goofiness of the music episode. Excuse me. There's humor has been a thing in Star Wars, and I think some people forget that sometimes. It's like R2 and 3PO are comic relief, and so we got that in that. I like the Master and Apprentice episode. I like the dueling siblings episode. Like I just go nuts. It's the reason I love things like Visions, is the reason I love the expanded universe. People were just allowed to play and tell their own stories, and we got some banana stuff in that expanded universe. And I think Visions was just a fun way to do that.
Yeah, totally. That's totally valid. I agree with everything you said. It's just that I think for me, a lot of those individual episodes just didn't resonate as much with me. The Ronin one, if I was just reviewing the Ronin one, I would put that probably A tier. But the rest I felt dragged the project as a whole down for me. But that one, I'm happy. I didn't know that they were actually considering continuing.
There's something happening with the Ronin character.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I don't know what.
See, that would interest me. I think that would pull me into Visions a little bit more.
Yeah. Next up, we have the Bad Batch. The Bad Batch has a special place in my heart because the Bad Batch is kind of what made Kat and I go from like acquaintances to like really, really dear friends. So it does have like just a special like emotional place in my heart for that because you are one of my besties.
Aww,
and but beyond that, I really enjoy the team dynamic. I really want to know more about Omega. And is she force sensitive or not? I feel like they have dropped some hints that she is, and so I am also kind of in the force sensitive camp. At least I'm like kind of hoping, but I don't want her to become a Jedi. I like if she's force sensitive, I want her to learn something else. Like
what does a force sensitive look like in a non-Jedi world?
Yeah, like she learns like Terrace Kasi or something. Like I just want to see like where they take her character. I think that'd be very interesting. But I like that they go to Cheers and that Carla is their is their bartender.
Stupid.
And everybody knows their name there. I think I'm gonna give this A tier. I think I'm gonna give this A tier. Yeah. So that's my Bad Batch. Thomas, why don't you go second this time? What do you
do it?
I should have been keeping my own track of things. I'm going to start doing that as we go. But Bad Batch was another one in the line of, my God, do we need another thing set during the Empire? And there was not enough in it for me to like care as I like before I sat down and watched it. Now, did the show keep my attention through most of it and then like really hook me in the Camino stuff? Yes. But again, it's another one I didn't ask for. It's gonna go in. I think it's gonna go in C tier. I'm hesitant. I like almost want to put it in D tier because you could take it away. You could take it out of the canon, and I think absolutely nothing changes.
Okay. Kat?
Okay, so we talked earlier about like what is like objectively good. It has nothing to do with like what you personally like. I don't care. This is my tier list, goddammit.
Exactly.
And Bad Batch
this is absolutely your tier list. Because
Bad Batch is going directly into S tier, motherfuckers.
Hell yeah.
Oh my god, you're so right. Because when we get to the movies, like I'm putting episode 3
for
in
sure.
S tier, and I will hear no arguments about it.
Oh yeah, no, and you'll hear no argument from me, sir.
Oh, good. So when I rank Last Jedi,
oh my god,
pretty high, I want to hear no crap already. From you too.
Anyway, I love Bad Batch. Even when the episodes are the filler episodes. I don't care. I want to learn everything I need to know about my space dads. Okay, and it's wholesome and it connects the broader.
That's what it should be called.
Lore. What, Space Dads?
It should be called My Space Dads. Like if this were a sitcom, like in the 80s,
I kind of like 4.5 Clones.
It would be like if it were in the early 2000s, it would be a Chuck Lorre show, and it would be called Clones. And then if it were in the 80s, it would be called My Four Space Dads or whatever.
I love it already. But yeah, I think it connects to the broader universe. I love how wholesome it is with the taking care of our collective child element. I love that all of them have distinct personalities. I love the moral ambiguity of Crosshair and how they didn't take the easy road by just like taking him back into the group at the end. They like let him, forward his own path. I think a lesser storyline would have done so, and they made that bold decision not to do so, which made it even more of a strong narrative choice. I love that we spent so much time in Camino. I think Camino is really interesting. I like how it had different things to say about bodily autonomy and, choosing your own path in the world. Wrecker is one of my favorite Star Wars characters, period. I'm obsessed with him. And yeah, Bad Batch, directly to S tier. Boom. And by the way, I'm looking at my tier list right now. I did not intend for there to be one of each. But you know what? I like the symmetry of it.
Yeah, I like how yours is pretty spread in this first 5.
Thank you.
Next up, we have the Clone Wars TV show. I think. Oh, this is tough.
Is it?
It is. I'm torn between A and S. I don't think I have quite the emotional connection because I feel like I was probably a little too old for it when it came out, and though I did really enjoy it, like I don't have the like nostalgia connection to it that I think would bump it up even higher for me. Because it is set in a prequel era, even though it did very much improve what I thought of the prequel era. I think I'm gonna go A tier on Clone Wars. I think I'm gonna go A tier. I think it's the quality is just as good as Bad Batch. I enjoy it just as much as Bad Batch. It just Bad Batch very much feels just like a continuation of what I watched for 5 seasons of Clone Wars. So that's what I'll do with that one. What about you, bud?
Which bud are you talking to? Me?
Talking to you, bud.
Okay, I'll take it. It's funny you should mention that you didn't have the nostalgia for it. I also don't have the nostalgia for it. I didn't watch it until I was already married. I think I didn't watch it until 2018.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I watched it because, and Nick, if you're watching this, hello, you changed my life. I had a coworker who was a Star Wars fan, and he's like, "You haven't watched Clone Wars? You need to watch it like right now. It's on Netflix." This is before Disney Plus came out. So I only had 6 seasons to watch, and I worked close enough to home that I'd go home for lunch, I'd hop on the elliptical, I'd watch 2 or 3 episodes of Clone Wars, and I'd go back to work and tell him what I saw. And that's how I watched Clone Wars for the first time. And even though I don't have the nostalgia for it, I immediately fell in love with it. I love all the new characters that it brought in. I love how it fleshed out the time period between 2 and 3 and the relationship between Anakin and Obi-Wan, Anakin's character. I brought in Ahsoka, one of the most beloved characters in Star Wars canon. And yes, there are some arcs that are weaker than others, but I think on the whole, it's so strong and it has such a place in the lore. I think I do think the prequels are incomplete without it, and Clone Wars is S tier for me.
So your S tiers are both animated so far.
They are, isn't that funny? I did not plan it that way. It's just the way it happened. And I also think that discovering these two things kind of dovetail with when I went from like a Star Wars fan to like next level Star Wars fan.
It's interesting. Like this is like mapping like what people like about Star Wars. Like by the time we're done, we'll have complete understandings of like what jazzes us about Star Wars, which is interesting. Thomas, where would you put the TV show Clone Wars, not including the film, the theatrical release?
D tier.
D tier.
Yeah, I don't need it in the slightest.
I
don't need the Clone Wars at all. I'm this.
She just left.
She just left. I don't need it. It's nice to know. It's like fun information to kind of know about what went down in between 2 and 3, but like it's unnecessary. When Ahsoka came out, everybody was like, what the fuck? She might be a beloved character now.
Right.
And I think Ashley Eckstein has done amazing things for the fandom.
Yes.
And I so appreciate that. But like, I don't need the Clone Wars. I think it's just introduced more. I think it's actually introduced more problems than it solved.
Okay.
See, that's interesting because you say that your Star Wars is Space Wizards, and that's like all Clone Wars is.
It is all. It might be all Space Wizards, but it's just like it didn't do anything because at the beginning, like by the end, it's episode 3. Like no matter what you do, no matter what happens, episode 3 happens. So nothing is of consequence to me in that. And I don't need to go watch it again. I find it very difficult to pay attention to when I have started watching it with like other people who've never watched it. It's not for me.
Can I have one more point about Clone Wars before we move on to Rebels?
Sure.
Sorry. Just one thing I forgot to mention.
Well, Maui didn't say where he was going to put it either.
Oh shit! I'm sorry. Or you did.
I did. Yeah.
You put an A tier.
I was just brief with my thoughts.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, I'm just fucking with y'all. Go ahead.
I just want to point out the politics of it too really does it for me because it fleshes out what was started in the prequels, and what part of what made the prequels great is that it really maps out the way a democracy can go wrong, and this really shows it like step by step. And it's one of those things that would go over like kids' heads. You know, that's why I push back. They're like, it's made for kids. Like, I'm sorry, a 10-year-old is not going to be looking at that and like looking at, you know, the politics of it.
There are absolutely episodes that I totally agree with you. I remember going like, how is this on Cartoon Network? Like,
right, exactly.
There hasn't been a single lightsaber or a gun. So those are some of the stronger episodes. I'll absolutely give you. Absolutely.
But I also think that we underestimate kids' ability to follow narrative sometimes.
Fair enough.
I know 2 kids that live a couple blocks away from me, my friends' sons, who are obsessed with Star Wars and but also are very thoughtful about politics, both in the Star Wars universe and in our actual world. So
good for them. That's awesome.
Yeah. So which warms my heart as a bleeding heart liberal. Like makes me very happy to see kids taking an interest in such things. Let's move on. We're a little over an hour, so let's try and get through these a little quickly. Let's go with Rebels next. Kat, your thoughts on Rebels? Where do you rank this one?
Rebels is going to break the animation streak at S tier for me. Rebels is going to C tier.
Oh, it's not D since you hate Rebels so much.
I don't hate Rebels. Oh there's a running joke between Molly and me that he insists that I hate Rebels. I swear to God, I don't hate Rebels.
That's perfect. It's C tier for me too. So
there you go. There you go.
So what? So any other thoughts on that? Or
I think it's 2 things. It's a little too slapsticky, a little too formulaic, where it's like the rebels are gonna steal their uniforms and infiltrate the thing, and then things go wrong, and then they got to escape. End of episode. That happens like 8 or 9 times, and I'm really tired of it.
That just sounds like Star Wars to me.
Shush. Anyway, and I also don't like 60% of the main cast. I think the only characters I really like aboard the Ghost are Kanan and Hera. And if it was just them, that'd be awesome. I could cut out Ezra and Zeb and Sabine and be completely happy with it.
Oh, so you didn't mention Chopper because you know that he's the best character that's ever been created by Star Wars.
Chopper's also kind of annoying, but he doesn't speak, so he's a little less annoying.
He does talk. He talks so much more than any other droid.
And
I'm pretty sure he's cursing all the
basic.
time too.
Oh yeah,
I'm pretty
for sure.
He has a filthy mouth. Too.
Dirty.
Yeah, it's all just
It
censored.
is. Yeah, it's like when you finally listen to Family Guy uncensored, and you're like, oh my god.
Oh my god, yeah, this is filthy.
Yeah, Chopper's a dirty, filthy boy.
Dirty man, dirty droid.
Rebels is my favorite of the 3 animated shows. I I don't know if it quite hits S tier for me, but it's my highest of my A tier right now. I think all of the animated shows have been, the Filoni trilogy of shows have been excellent, and this one is the most intense in terms of like giving me not just Jedi lore, but like Force lore. There's some really interesting stuff, especially in like the last season, that we still haven't unpacked yet that I just absolutely love. And I love the kind of Dirty Dozen feel of the Rebel crew. And Kanan and Hera are relationship goals. So for me,
they are
A tier.
They really are.
Thomas, you said also C tier?
I said C, but as you started talking, I think that final season really did some stuff for me. So I think it's gonna go up to B.
yes.
It's the animated stuff is all gonna sit lower for me. I just like there's something about the visceralness of live action Star Wars that I really need. Also the animation, the lightsabers look weird. The lightsabers always look weird to me. They look like noodles. They just they linger too long in the air, and I don't like it. So it's like
early in season 1, I noticed that Ezra's hair looks like octopus tentacles, and I couldn't shake it for the rest of the show.
Rogue One, Kat.
Rogue One is my first live action thing to break into S tier. Let's go.
Okay.
I love Rogue One. Rogue One's amazing. Rogue One is a top 3 Star Wars film. That's all I have to say about it. It's brilliant. It has all the markings of good tragedy, where you think they're gonna make it, and then they don't, and it doesn't matter how many times you watch it, you think they're gonna make it every time, and they don't. And it's great, and I love it.
It is also S tier for me.
We agree.
It is my favorite thing, my favorite live action film since Return of the Jedi. Like, like there's the OG trilogy, fantastic. Prequel trilogy, I've learned to love over the years. Rogue One.
That's real. That's real.
Sequel trilogy has issues. I would actually say the sequel trilogy out of the 3 trilogies is actually the least successful trilogy when I look at it in terms of story.
For sure.
Just because it's so disjointed. I wouldn't have said that had Abrams not come back and done Rise of Skywalker and walked back a lot of the stuff. Like, regardless of whether or not you liked it, it happened. You need to yes and you don't.
Yeah, absolutely.
Rogue One to me is the most successful of the new stuff. So absolutely S tier for me. Thomas?
It's gonna fall into to A tier. And the only reason it doesn't fall into S is because it's a live action, but I don't get my Jedi until the denouement, like essentially.
Yeah. I was like, no space wizards.
No space wizards. We have Jewett and we have Baze, and they're like really cool. I love K2SO. I love the energy brought by Bodhi Rook. And I do love the rebellion isn't pure and good thing that we get out of Rogue One that we definitely don't get out of the original trilogy, which is super cool, bringing the moral gray areas in. And I think it did a lot of great stuff, and Giacchino scores amazing. Talking about it, something that wasn't scored by Williams, but still really feels of the world.
The first Star Wars thing to not be scored by him, at least in live action, if I'm not mistaken.
I think
you are correct on that.
Yeah, I think you're correct.
I'm
just waiting for Rogue 2, Many Bothans.
Oh my God.
Well done.
I love it.
I love it already. Joke? Is that your joke?
I love it already.
Did you coin that joke?
I'm sure I'm not the only one. I just want it to be like Ocean's 11, but it's all the dog looking, because Bothans are like dog looking creatures.
Yeah.
So it's just Ocean's 11, but it's just 11 like dog, slightly variated dog looking, animals.
Speaking of dog looking animals,
and then they all
Solo.
You think we need one more? We need one more. All right, we got Solo next. I like Solo, despite all the production issues, and it's an uneven film, but it's also a fun time at the movies. And
also very true.
And ultimately, if you entertain me, I'm gonna walk away happy. It's nothing to write home about, but I say, make Solo 2 happen. I think it's an underrated film. I'm gonna put it on my B tier. I enjoy it. Like I said, nothing special about it, but middle of the road for me. I do think it's a bit better than Kenobi, but I don't love it quite enough to put it in that A tier with my animated series stuff. So
I'm in the midst of going through Star Wars Minute with it. That's their current season is Solo, along with the Star Wars Music Minute, which breaks down 5 minutes of a movie to go along with the week-long Star Wars Minute stuffs. And I found myself really interested in what they have to say about Solo. Also, when I was working on the script for the Zooming the Movies version of it, I found myself like really, because I did the majority of that script.
Yeah.
I found myself really interested in watching it again, which is right. But Maui's right; it's very uneven. But I love. I do think Alden Ehrenreich did a really good job. I think Woody Harrelson's character is interesting as a mentor to Han. I think
Emilia Clarke as Kira is fantastic.
Yeah, I think she's she's not my favorite thing about it, but I think she does a really good job. And I'm just blanking on Lando's name. I don't know. Donald Glover.
Donald Glover. Yeah.
I think Donald Glover did great. I would love to see more of like Donald Glover doing Lando things. They've been on the podcast. They talk about like if this movie was like a TV show and it was all done through the lens of like Billy D. Williams, just like talking about his adventures in a bar, and it was like. And he's like the boss hog kind of
like a young Indiana Jones kind of thing, but
yeah, kind
Lando,
of.
That's
but then like in times where like the Falcon's like trying to make the jump, and it's like, well, how am I gonna get out of this one, folks? I'll tell you after I've wet my whistle. And then it like cuts to commercial.
I'm so into that.
Right. I also play with unreliable narrator with that.
Exactly.
Yes.
And like, wait, that doesn't make any sense. How did you? And he's like, I'm telling you, that's what happened.
I'm telling you, that's what happened, kid.
Oh,
I love
like
that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's brilliant.
I think there's a lot of possibility in Solo, and I'd absolutely love to see more of Solo. Because the one thing I wished they had done in like all the things that they did, where we show how he got his gun and he got the Falcon and like his outfit, I truly wanted this movie to just absolutely, like Rogue One, just butt up to Episode 4. Like I just wanted him to he had to dump the thing, like dump the stuff, and he got boarded and he's in the cantina. Like that's really what I wanted. So I want to see, that is the thing I want to see. I don't care about if we meet his dad or whatever, but like I want to know what was Han running for Jabba that got him busted right before Episode 4. And after that, I have no more questions about Han Solo.
Right.
Well, you Cap.
I'm with you guys. I'm gonna put Solo in B tier. My one sentence review of Solo that I always give to people when they ask is it's a heist movie in space. Like, what more do you possibly want from me? Like, it's good. And I agree with you, Maui, that like, yes, it's in B tier with Kenobi, but I do like Kenobi more. One, because Obi-Wan Kenobi is my favorite Star Wars character, period. But also, like, I think Kenobi had higher highs and also lower lows than Solo. I think Solo is more even throughout, but Kenobi has more emotional punch for me. But anyway, Solo is a solid movie for all the reasons that both of you mentioned.
What about Clone Wars, the film?
Clone Wars, the film goes directly to D tier. It's a mess. It's a lovable mess, but a mess nonetheless.
Same.
That rhymed.
Yeah, I was gonna put
I have nothing else to say about it either.
The TV show is.
Yeah, I was gonna put it at the same place where I put the TV show, just because like I view them as one product. But if we did separate them, yeah, I got to put it in D tier too.
Interesting that you have nothing in C tier.
If it's what?
I was just noticing that you have nothing in C tier.
I have 3 things in D tier.
So C tier.
Oh, C tier. Yeah. I feel like when Star Wars misses, it misses big. But there's nothing that's just like, but they take big swings and usually it works out for them.
Speaking when Star Wars misses big, The Last Jedi is next. Goodbye, folks.
Damn.
Last Jedi is
my
favorite film of the sequel trilogy.
Like on the side of the screen, what order are these coming up?
What order is this anyway? It's fine. It's fine.
Just the order in which they upload it into the folder.
Cool.
Fair enough.
Last Jedi is my favorite of the sequel trilogy.
Preach.
I love the cinematography. I love the deconstruction of the toxic masculinity of the Star Wars universe. I think Rian Johnson was trying to do something very different with it. It is a very divisive movie for that reason, but I love The Last Jedi. There are enough issues with it where I'm not going to quite put it into S tier, but I will put it in my A tier.
I'm gonna say very similar things there, Maui. Every time I watch The Last Jedi, in the because I ended up doing 3 or 4 universe watch throughs as new movies came out, and I watched The Last Jedi back to back a couple of times, and I was like, man, every time I watch it, I find new things that I'm enjoying. It stays out of S tier because it doesn't have a lightsaber fight. It has a fight with lightsabers, but the lightsabers do not fight.
And that's one of my favorite action sequences.
Clashing. It's a
that
really
Red Room sequence is friggin' gorgeous.
It looks amazing. The fighting is really cool, but the 2 lightsabers are not fighting each other. That Kat's got this look on her face, and I'm trying to explain why. It's a lightsaber fight, but they're not fighting each other.
Is she frozen?
Kat? Oh, she's frozen.
I think she's frozen.
Oops. Oh no. She can't come in and tell us. Oh no, she can't tell us how much she hates.
Oh no. Oh well, I guess it's just A tier for.
A-tier.
Yay! Just A tier for Last Jedi. Yay!
But yeah, a lot of those reasons that you shared. The other thing that keeps it out of A tier for me is I love that Rian Johnson changed the whole there's always a time jump between Star Wars movies and started it immediately after Force Awakens. But what that means is that we literally have no time to mine new expanded universe things. We can't write comic books when there's no time.
Yeah.
There's no way to do it. And that's that's gonna bother me. It's well, we can't write a book between 7 and 8. There's literally no time.
They're gonna do a comic book, a one shot that's just the 6 hours between when Finn lost consciousness and Finn woke up.
Right. Resistance tried to do it, right? If you watch the first season of Resistance, if you watch Resistance, that's when it takes place, is leading up to Force Awakens. They witness the events of Force Awakens, the big ones, and then it starts the second season. They show up right as everybody has left the base. And it's that's all we get. So that's why it stays out of A tier for me. Kat, why do you hate what is good?
Yeah, why do you hate good things? Why do you hate sunshine?
Oh my god!
Why do you want to kick puppies?
Oh my god! I'm gonna put Last Jedi in C tier, D tier. Thank you.
Oh, that's weird.
That is my contribution to this.
It's weird that you put 2 things that you absolutely despise in C tier.
I don't despise it.
That's cool.
My gaslighting. No, Last Jedi. It's one of those things that you Thomas, you said the more you watch, the more you find things to appreciate about it. The more I watch Last Jedi, the more I'm this thing makes no fucking sense whatsoever. I do appreciate that it is beautifully shot. I think it's one of the best, if not the best looking Star Wars films. It's very, very well crafted. But the narratives don't make a lot of sense. I think the Canto Bite thing is just dumb. It tried in a lot of ways to do a thing in each one of those narratives, and I think it failed at all of them. I don't like how the Holder maneuver breaks Star Wars dogfighting. It's just not for me. It's not for me.
We have to move on, or we will.
We have to move on.
We have to move on, or we will.
No, I'm sighing because I don't want to talk about this next film.
Oh,
Rise of Skywalker, Kat, go for it.
Very true.
I was sighing because I want.
I mean, we all know where this is going,
this
right?
Fight with fisticuffs.
Yeah. Why I oughta no. Rise of Skywalker's D tier, automatic D tier. If Last Jedi made no sense, Rise of Skywalker isn't even the correct language. So we're just gonna leave it at that.
Yep. Rise of Skywalker is D tier for me as well. I despise this movie. I've only seen it the one time. I have not been able to bring myself to watch it again. I tried and I couldn't get through it. The opening crawl pisses me. The fact that they brought the Emperor back
dead speak
in the opening crawl, or I think there was some weird tie into Fortnite that is apparently.
Yeah, but I mean, technically, he was brought back in the prequel comic in the Road to Rise of Skywalker. He is when the message that is referenced in the opening crawl comes out across the galaxy.
Yeah, you can't.
Which I for sure think they stole from
until that deep in your canon. I'm sorry.
I think they for sure stole that from Trevorrow's Duel of Fate script. Yeah. They stole that idea of the intergalactic.
By the way,
broadcast.
If we were talking about Duel of the Fates instead of Rise of Skywalker, judging from what I've read from that probably would be like a B or A tier.
I was about to say that's
like,
that.
It could even be S.
I was about to say we're fighting S and A tier for me.
Like that.
If we're talking Duel of the Fates,
just on the page to be a far superior film. So so 2Ds.
It's at least B tier.
Yeah,
Thomas,
it's a C tier for me because I'm such a music guy that the John Williams score in that I think goes really hard, and it's one that I've enjoyed listening to. But you're absolutely right. Palpatine makes no sense. I think Rey Palpatine makes even less sense. I think when you're right, when Abrams backpedaled on everything.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? But did I see it twice or maybe 3 times in theaters? Yes. In the way that it is not as visually stunning as Last Jedi, but it's like if I was watching a kaleidoscope, but then a 2-year-old was shaking the kaleidoscope at the same time, I can't stop watching it because it's so colors and shapes and sounds and things. But it saves it from D tier for me, also because it is a live action Star Wars movie. It's just real. It's real, but it's also real bad.
Empire is next. Empire. I mean, come on, it's S. There's a reason why the majority of humans who have watched a Star Wars say Empire Strikes Back.
Who've seen a Star Wars is the correct phrase.
Sure, because it's perfect. It is a perfect film. So yeah, S tier. It's been talked to death. Don't need to talk about it much, but S tier.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, same here. What else is there to say? It's S tier and the number 1 Star Wars film because it took the foundations that A New Hope gave it, and New Hope is also a incredibly well put together, well made, everything film.
I would love to debate that with you because I think
cool.
That's
we'll do it. We'll do that another time.
Yeah.
Another day.
Really
but it took that, and how can we expand this universe and expand these character stories even more and have them through trials? And that's what else can you ask for from a sequel?
Yeah.
It's gonna live in S tier for me, and it's a little begrudgingly. I know that it does a lot, but I have some things with all of the original trilogy where it's I can take out this scene, this scene, this scene, and this scene, and I don't need them in the movie, and I will enjoy the film. But I really enjoy it because I find it so interesting because the original drafts of Empire are awful. It was not from the get. It's not from the get go. The thing was this gold. I think Kasdan and oh my god, what was the director's name?
Oh god, that's gonna bother me now.
He's the guy that Yoda is modeled after almost. He's one of the guys that Yoda's modeled. Yeah, him. Without them, the Empire could have been an absolute disaster.
Yeah.
In the way that Jedi is. Jedi is we could have gotten 2 Jedis in a row without.
Don't talk about my favorite Star Wars film
without Kirshner. I'm so sorry. We could have
gotten you.
We could have gotten 2 in a row.
We're gonna get there.
I'm gonna throw it up there. All right, Force Awakens.
Force Awakens. Am I going first here?
Yeah.
Force Awakens is B tier. Force Awakens is B tier. So it's funny because when lockdown first happened in 2020, I just, not on purpose, but at some point, it's went back and rewatched all Wars films when I had stuff to do around the house, just to put on in the background. And for some reason, Force Awakens was last on my lineup, just based on what I was feeling that day. And watching it kind of made me sad because now with the hindsight of knowing how Rise of Skywalker went, and to me how Last Jedi went, the fact that there look like they're everybody, including Harrison Ford, looks like they're having so much fun. And it opens up so many possibilities for how this thing could have gone. And that just didn't pan out. And that's not the fault of this movie. I still think it's a lot of fun to watch. I still like the chemistry between all the leads, which is huge. I don't think it's talked about enough. Yeah, I like Force Awakens. Force Awakens is fun. It's B.
All right. I think I'm gonna go. Oh man, I'm torn between B and A.
Really?
Yeah, I really enjoyed Force Awakens. It's a really solid film. So it's like high B for me. Maybe A. I think I'm gonna go B. I might change it later, but I'm gonna keep it at B. Where would you put it, Thomas?
It's mid for me, so I'm gonna keep it at B, but I don't like it. Like I kind of want it to be C, but like it is middle of the road.
Yeah, it does enough good things to keep it like
in this ranking system. It's B because that's just the middle of the road, but like I want to give it a C because it didn't reinvent the wheel. I know they were just trying to reignite the fan base, but they made A New Hope with flashier effects.
Yeah.
And then the fact that we started off a thing that then we didn't think about the future with. So, we never got to see Mark and Carrie and Harrison on screen together again while they were all still alive is, I think, one of the greatest detriments of the sequel trilogy. And that all started with The Force Awakens and them not putting Luke in the thing. Like they started off on the wrong foot.
Yeah.
And I think to the
Can't
point where
forgive them for it.
I almost won't. I almost will never be able to forgive them for not letting me see them all on screen together.
Yeah, I was also questioning between B and C tier, but I ultimately.
All right, Return of the Jedi. Like I said, it's my favorite Star Wars film,
enough.
so it is S tier for me.
Hey, if I can put Bad Batch S tier, you could put Return of the Jedi in S tier. You go for it.
Return of the Jedi, automatic S tier. It's the first Star Wars movie I ever saw. I was a little toddler when I first saw it. It's what made me fall in love with Star Wars. I love the Ewoks. I love everything about it. I recognize that there are issues with it. Don't care. S tier.
That's fair. That's very fair. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
I struggle with Return of the Jedi a little bit. I could see arguments for A, B, or S. But I think I ultimately land in A. And mostly because the throne room scene is maybe the greatest scene in Star Wars and does a lot of heavy lifting for this movie. But that's what keeps it from slipping to B.
It might be my favorite John Williams music piece.
Oh God, it's gorgeous! It's just so gorgeous.
They're just swinging at each other. Oh my God!
But also, so I recently was at over the summer. I was at the Chicago Symphony Orchestra, and I saw them do Return of the Jedi on screen with a live orchestra, and that was an experience.
I saw them do Empire a couple of years ago. It's amazing.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
What's really funny is that we talk so much about how Clone Wars benefited the prequels, but for me it also benefited the because when I watch Anakin Skywalker die in basically Luke's arms, I see the cocksure Jedi general from Clone Wars. It hits different now.
Sure,
love that. What Thomas? What about you?
It's gonna live in
S tier.
No, it's gonna live in A for me. It's still a low A. It's definitely my least favorite of the originals. And then in a movie ranking, it definitely sits below a lot of things. But it's because as much as Jabba's palace is fun, I don't need it. I can honestly skip all the way to them planning the attack on Endor. Even Yoda's death, I'm it's tragic. It gives us some lore, but I just get me to that fight. And with Kat's throne room thing, the opposite is true for me. It's not the throne room fight I love; it's the space battle. It was the culmination of just all the visual effects that they'd invented for the original film, and just the density on screen is insane. And I love it. I'm also in the camp that it should have been flipped and that Lando should have led the ground assault and Han should have flown and it should have been like a mystery on whether or not was Han gonna make it out alive, and like were our 3.
Ooh, I like that.
That to me would have made the movie like even just like that much better. I love the Ewoks. Like anybody who says the Ewoks suck, I'll fight. I love the Ewoks.
I will fight them as well.
All right, Revenge of the Sith Cat.
Directly to S tier. Let's go.
Directly to S tier.
Directly.
Is that for both of you?
For both of us. Directly to S tier.
Of course.
Revenge of the Sith to S tier is a cultured take, and you're all cultured people. So well done.
Are we all?
No, because he's about to put it in like B or C.
Shut up.
Welcome to my first C tier.
No!
Welcome to my first C tier film.
Oh, that makes me sad. All right, fine. Be that way.
No, it's fair. No, I totally get why it's there. And the reason that Jedi is in S tier for you is the exact same reason that Jedi is in S tier for me and Kat.
Yeah.
It was the first Star Wars movie I like went online and bought the tickets for. Like my mom was in the hospital for some minor surgery, and we like went, said hello. She went into surgery, and then we went and saw the movie. Like 2005, Thomas had his priorities straight.
Correct. Yeah.
For me, it's the Shakespearean tragedy of it all. The thing that you loved about Rogue One.
Yeah.
But watching it in 2005, we didn't know. Like we knew he had to be Darth Vader, but we didn't know how. We had no idea. Like he could have like died. He could have survived. Like, and I think that Battle of Heroes is John Williams' magnum opus, and I will.
Yes, indeed.
I will die on this hill for that.
All righty. Attack of the Clones. Welcome to D tier. This is probably the worst made Star Wars film is Attack of the Clones. So that's D tier for me.
That's tough to flip between the two, between Rise of Skywalker and Clones. Like
but like at least Rise of Skywalker has some like decent looking effects at some points of it. I don't like any there's nothing I like in Attack. Like there's nothing I think that looks good in Attack of the Clones. You don't think?
What about the Battle of Geonosis?
I don't really care about that.
Oh my god!
There's nothing that excites me.
The smoke effects.
Nothing good in Attack of the Clones for me.
I'm sorry.
I think Attack of the Clones is a mess. So that's my take on that one.
I'm gonna put it in C. They can't. It's not. I think it's not any worse for the level of technology it had versus Rise of Skywalker in that sense. Is the story almost as banana pants? Yes. Sifo Dyas, fucking the fact that the movie is like 20 minutes longer than every other Star Wars film is so whack. Like it does not need to be this long. Nope. There are several Star Wars movies that are over by the time Anakin and Obi-Wan are like jogging into the lightsaber fight.
I'm just saying that Attack of the Clones could have been an email.
It was, and Sifo Dyas was mistyped.
Yeah, could have been
what do you think, Kat?
Man, I am going back and forth on Attack of the Clones. It's either a super high C or a low B. And I think I'm going to put it, again, this is my list and I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want. I think I'm going to put it at low B. Huh. I know.
There's a
lot. It's fine. It's your opinion.
There's a lot I like about it.
It's that I enjoy it. Yeah.
I don't love that Padme and Anakin like have this mashed up, this like quick, dirty relationship. But I love watching this like older woman deal with this cocksure young guy in her arena and be like, look, I know what I'm doing. Don't condescend to me. I love that. I wish we had kept that deleted scene of her and her family. I thought that's a scene that I think should be in.
That should definitely be in there. And a lot of what Attack of the Clones does for me, I think Detective Kenobi really pulls a lot of weight in that film for me personally.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Is that when he goes to Dex's diner?
Yes,
that's his whole arc. His whole
how you doing, Dex?
Is Detective Kenobi.
I love Detective Kenobi. I love the arena sequence, and I love the Dooku fight. And
I think the Dooku fight is one of the top 5 fights.
Agreed.
I think that should be the next
out
one.
of C into B for me.
Sure.
Oh, and also the soundtrack is phenomenal. I love the Attack of the Clones soundtrack.
It has stayed. Maui, I think the next tier ranking should just be lightsaber fights.
Sure.
That's a great idea. I'm on board for that. Let's go.
A New Hope. Let's go. Let's move on from this cursed film. New Hope.
S tier.
All Could it not be?
It's yes, it is a simplistic film, but I think it is a very, very well done film. And I love the chemistry between the leads. Of course, it's set up everything. Love Alec Guinness. Love the trench run. The trench run is perfection, start to finish. Just love everything about it.
Yep.
S tier.
It's it's the one that started it all.
Hello.
It's another perfect film. It's just a perfect hero's journey. It's quintessential. It's mythology wrought large. It's perfect. Yep.
Perfect.
I would love to moderate
because the dialogue is still George Lucas's shitty dialogue. The trench run is amazing, but it's saved in the editing. Like it's all in the editing. You know what I mean? It's like, well,
yeah,
to me, if it's propped up on one thing, if you were to take that thing away, like, can it really stand? I think there's some parts of it that move a little too slow for me, and I know that that's probably a modern sensibility looking at a movie that was made in the 70s. But I absolutely will fight tooth and nail on anyone who thinks that anyone who says that the movie is not important. Because we don't get modern filmmaking without it. So it definitely is S tier, but it's like not my favorite Star Wars movie.
Sure, that's fair.
Finally, we have Phantom Menace. Now it's funny because I saw this film in the theaters 11 times, but I didn't really like it. The only reason I kept going back to see this film over and over again, one, I was a pothead at the time, and watching the Duel of the Fates, Kenobi, Qui-Gon Maul fight while high is a wonderful experience. I suggest you all try it. However, outside of that, and the pretty fun pod racing scene, the movie doesn't have a lot going for it. It loses points. Like I could see it in B, but it loses points for the hugely racially offensive Jar Jar Binks. And when asked about it, Lucas denied it, even though it's pretty obvious that it comes off pretty racially insensitive. I don't care if your wife is black, George. You can still do problematic things.
His second wife.
Yeah, and perhaps if he was still with his first wife, she could have script doctored.
Yeah,
this made it a bit better.
Is a treasure.
Boom.
It's gonna live in C for me too. Live in C for me too. Duel of the Fates in that final sequence, the Battle of Naboo, I think kind of lifts the movie to a degree. I really do like the super mysterious Palpatine. Like, oh my god, we saw that guy in Jedi, but we still don't know who he is. Maul is a great silent character in this that I think then they've done some interesting things with in Clone Wars and Rebels. So it gave us some interesting things, but the movie on the whole is just rough. It's really hard to prop up your multi-billion-dollar franchise on a literal 9-year-old, and Jake Lloyd got some massive flack that he as a child did not deserve.
Yeah,
right. That's totally Lucas and the guy who fled to the Eastern Europe. His producer is Yes Man. George Lucas should not have written and directed these films again. No. There's a reason he didn't direct Empire or Jedi. Lucas has some great ideas, but he needs people who will tell him no, like Lawrence Kasdan and the other guy.
The other one
is pod racing.
Yeah, but the pod racing sequence is far too long, and then since they extended it,
it's working.
And it's not even. I don't even want to talk about midichlorians.
I was just wondering.
Midichlorians never bothered me. I understand why they bother other people. They never bothered me. Anyway,
I was just wondering, what are midichlorians? Can I get another line read on that, Jake? Can we do? No.
Okay.
No. Okay.
We'll keep it. We'll fix it in post. Go ahead, Kat. It's all you.
No, it's fine. I'm gonna end this on a spicy note. Because I am also between like with Tag Clones, I am between two tiers, but it's probably the two that you guys were.
I'm gonna guess. Okay, let me guess. Okay. I'm guessing that you are torn between A and B.
That's exactly right.
Oh, I know you so well.
I know, and I think when I look at the other things that I have in B tier, I do like Phantom Menace more than all of them, and so I think I'm gonna put Phantom Menace in A tier. I think one of my spiciest takes is Phantom Menace is good, actually. And I think one day I will flesh out that idea into like maybe a video essay or something.
Well, you and Dave Filoni share that sentiment. Filoni loves Phantom Menace.
I love Phantom Menace.
And he can talk about it at length. And his ideas are not without merit, but I think he's like really reaching into the weeds in things. And I go, great, but Dave, that's not what's actually on screen. Like, it's what is implied based on what's on screen, but we didn't watch a movie called Implication.
If you and Filoni, Kat, if you and Filoni got together and did a remake of the Phantom Menace, I bet you it would be in like A or S tier. I mean, like, if there are people that like that. Because like I can see what you love in it. Like I see it too. But I don't think it was executed very well. And when it came out, and after so long without Star Wars, I'm chomping at the bit for it. And that's what happens. I'm like, you know.
Sure, but that's one of the things I appreciate about the Phantom Menace so much is that they didn't give the fans what they're looking for. They gave the fans what the story required.
I don't know about that.
Yeah,
I don't know about required.
Fine.
I'm so sorry. It's a 9-year-old and a 14-year-old. I don't know how the story requires that.
I've got a crush on you.
But also, one of the other things I will say for Phantom Menace before we head out of here is, I also respect Phantom Menace for what it gave, because, and I think I mentioned this before on the stream, but I'll say it again. We take for granted now the visual and thematic cornerstones of the prequel trilogy and Clone Wars. You got the Senate, and you got the Jedi Temple, and you got the Jedi at their peak, and you got the Republic, and all the stuff that we take for granted now. And it all came from the Rule of Two. There's another one. It all came from Phantom Menace, and it really was like the building block for like so much Star Wars that happened after. We really have this movie to thank.
Yeah,
fair enough.
Absolutely. So those are our tier lists.
Whoop whoop.
I was surprised that we had a lot of things that we agreed on where they placed, so that made me happy. We both had 5 things in S tier. No, you have 6 things.
I have 6. Yeah,
I have 5.
Thomas, what'd you end up with? How many in S tier?
I feel like I'm missing some. I ended up with Empire, Sith, and A New Hope in S tier. Rogue One, Kenobi, Last Jedi, and Return of the Jedi in A. Okay. Visions, Mandalorian, Rebels, Solo, Force Awakens in B. Bad Batch, Boba Fett, Rise of Skywalker, Attack of the Clones, Phantom Menace in C, and then Clone Wars and Clone Wars film in D.
Hey, Maui, can you... Oh, sorry, I thought you finished.
I don't know what I feel like I'm missing something, but there's so many things that I can't figure it out.
It's fine. Hey, Maui, can you send me my graphic of my tier list? I want to make it like my laptop background.
Yeah, absolutely.
My correct tier list.
And then I go, hey Maui, can you just make my tier list?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll get a graphic made for you, and I'll add yours into there too, so we can post
I love it.
all of them. Yeah, so that's it. So this will probably go up in the next day or two, and then probably around the same time as our Andor review. And our next Andor review will be out probably Friday for episode 4.
Yes.
This was fun. It's good to be back. And thank you so much, Thomas, for hanging out with us.
Absolutely.
And talking the Wars of Stars with us.
Always fun to talk about it.
Yeah. We'll be back. We'll be reviewing Andor, and then in between Andor and Bad Batch, which I don't think there'll be much time in between them.
Bad Batch is looking at a January release. Tales of the Jedi comes out in October.
Okay, so then between Andor, do we have overlap then?
Yes.
Maybe
I
think
a little bit. Andor's
like 12 episodes.
It's like 12.
Yeah. So there'll be a little bit.
We won't. So yeah. So we won't have any space. But we'll just be review while those are out. We might do some other fun stuff. Maybe some more tier list rankings. Lightsaber fight tier list would be fun. So
it's a great idea.
I might do some more tier lists. I like the tier list. It's fun.
It's fun format.
I'm gonna posit John Williams score pieces. I will talk about Star Wars music.
Yeah, we can music nerd out. We can do that for sure. But yeah, that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching. Stay dope. Have a good night.
May the Force be with you.
Bye.
Always.